Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm over on the small table because we're going to be running a train set. Now, I've checked the responses and the Hornby Dublo set 2007060 tank passenger set has come out as favourite, so I'm going to be running that today. And then in a week or two we're going to get the Rural Rambler set that I showed. But first of all, have a look at this. Now, not something you'd see on my channel very often. Can you recognise what manufacturer this is from? Well, it's a 262 Prairie tank, and it's from Airfix from the mid to late 1970s, I believe. Don't really know much about Airfix models, I don't have any. But this was sent to me by Reuben S, who looks in at the channel, and he wondered if I could get it running for him. It was a non-runner. So I've been sorting through my Airfix spares. I do have a few spares for this particular motor. It's a really powerful 5-pole motor, and there was an issue with the armature, funnily enough. A problem that once it's running for more than a few seconds, a short circuit in some of the windings. But I have managed to find a spare, and I've built it back up. So Reuben, here it is. Sadly, I'm not showing this on the Super 4 because it just chucks itself off every Super 4 point, and I think that's due to the fact that the back-to-back and the wheel flanges on this Airfix are not really suitable for Super 4, but it does like the fine scale track, and I'm sure that if you've got modern track, this is going to love it. I've got some Triang GWR clear story coaches behind it, and I'm running it in, and it's a fun loco. I can see a couple of potential issues with these. It's got one thin traction tyre on the back axle, which really doesn't help with voltage pickup from the rear axle. It does pick up from the centre axle, but the centre wheels don't always touch the track. I guess a modification could be made, but I've left this standard. So Reuben, if you want to take that traction tyre off, a lot of people do take the tyre off. Looks good though, doesn't it? Lots of detail on the body. I think this sort of late 70s item from Airfix came along at the same time as some better detailed models from Lima and Mainline, and things were changing with model railways. It looks good, and I like the way it runs. I'm going to run it in a bit more, but unfortunately just on this loop, because it does not like my old Super 4. Here's a little picture of it on the rolling road. Heavy chassis, big 5-pole motor, and also there's a clock there. For those of you that have said you missed the clock of the week, it's a Matthew Norman carriage clock, and that's restored. I just need to sort the case out. So I will try and include the occasional clock that comes through the workshop. And it's good to know that a few of you like to see them. And it's quite good fun sometimes when you're mending clocks to have a break and do something on a model railway engine. And I think with this sort of higher detail and sort of attention to smaller parts, we could probably call this a almost scale model railway engine rather than a toy train. It's getting to the point where there's a lot more attention to detail, and these are becoming less of a toy and more of an actual scale model. Just my opinion, of course, but there's lots of things that little fingers would easily break on something like this. But as you can see, it's going around quite nicely. And Reuben, it soon will be back on its way to you, so I hope you have fun with it on your track too. Right, well, let's get to this set. I'm looking forward to getting this out. So I'm going to put the camera on the tripod so we can just have a look at some of the contents. Okay, well, I hope this is coming through nicely on the camera. I've got the Meccano Marshall 3 power controller set to half wave. A few of you mentioned you like to see the City of London running slowly, so here's the bare chassis. You can get an idea of what it looks like when the armature... I'm going to try and slow it down one more click, by the way. Now there's no load on this, so it hopefully won't stall, but look at that armature revolving, you know, almost, you can count those revolutions, 3 pole, but with the pulsing of the half wave we're getting a really slow revolution there. But doesn't that look good? Quiet as a mouse, and just shows you what you can do with this old vintage technology. Now I'm just going to increase it one click. So we have got the plastic couplings on this set. Delron, I believe, is the material. I might be wrong, but I think they alter over time. I have problems sometimes with them uncoupling, but anything that was made back in the late 50s, early 60s probably can be excused altering a bit. So you can see the chassis, lovely heavy piece of cast metal there, and Hornby's version of the XO4 are much longer but similar. We've got the magnet at the back, the brushes hanging down, but a longer shaft. It's a really great motor. Now I haven't remagnetised this, I don't think there's any need. It's running so beautifully. And what else can I show you? These items here designed to cancel out electrical noise. Old-fashioned radios and televisions were very susceptible, but not so much relevance these days. And definitely not when you consider the amount of electrical noise that modern power supplies, switching power supplies emit, and they don't seem to, I don't know, people don't seem to care about that now. If you try to listen to old-fashioned medium wave radios, you can often detect modern noise. Right, well, I am going to show you a couple of other items from the box quickly. I do want to get to the running, but there's some things of interest. Now look, these metal clips, they've got just the right dimension to fit between the sleeper bases, so I think they're designed to give extra stability to the track where the joins are. Not that you need it with these super tight fish plates. And one of these really quite nice tested labels. I just wonder who sat and attached this to the loco all those years ago. Someone who was happy for it to go out of the factory, no doubt. We did see quite a bit of paperwork with the last Hornby Dublo set, but I'll just skim it. There's a relevant instruction leaflet to these tank locos, another really nice guarantee slip, an advert for the Meccano magazine, and if, as a new train set owner, you wanted to become a member of the Hornby Railway Company, information for you there. But really nice leaflets. Now if I go to the coaches, slightly not quite as crisp as the coaches in the last set we saw, and as you can, I'm trying to demonstrate, there's threads of corrosion under the paint on the roofs. At some point moisture's got in, probably around these vents just under the paint, and corrosion has started. It's not, it just spoils the look a little bit, but considering the age, if I hold that back there, you can see the sides look lovely. A little bit of clear plastic in to simulate windows, no interior, but lovely tin plate coaches, and I think they're going to make an excellent noise around the track in a minute. And what's it say here? Hornby, made in England, Meccano Limited, Liverpool. So I think if I look at the roof on the brake as well, you can just see, if I get the camera angle right, unfortunately these threads of corrosion, but considering it's made it through all these decades, I think I'm not going to worry about that. I shall just make sure that this goes into a very dry environment, as little humidity as possible, and hopefully if someone decides to get them out again in another half century or so, they won't have deteriorated. Now here, let's look at this little loco body. There's a bit of shine there. Look at that, British Railways. Quite a nice, some sort of decal, I think. The number looks like it's heat imprinted. I can just feel that it feels like it's been imprinted. Some coal there to look at. A couple of nice bits of brass to simulate safety valves and some moulding detail. And look at this, if I can just get my finger inside. Here we have the magical fixing screw in the chimney stack. Some quite wonderful polished metal buffers. So a really nice thing to look at, and stood the test of time quite well, really. I think it must have had a bit of moisture on me there. Doesn't look bad at all, and in quite good condition. And hopefully if I hold it here you can see Hornby Dublo Meccano Limited, made in England. Right, I need to get this body shell back on the chassis, get the coaches hooked up, and we'll have a bit of fun around the oval. Now, I mean, just look at that. Still ticking over. Let's get a little bit, I'm just going to stop it, put it onto full wave, and then we'll just, you can just hear that now, hopefully. I do find when I recommission these models that 5 or 10 minutes in each direction at this sort of speed, not on half wave, but probably about this sort of speed, just to bed the brushes in, and then they run really nicely. But this has already had a bit of running in, so I'm going to be back with you in a second to get it going round the track. Okay, everything's set up on the track, and I'm just going to put a little bit of power in and move this little loco away. And doesn't it look absolutely wonderful with those two tin plate coaches? A superb little set. I have, as before, just put a couple of extra straights in just to give us a little bit more running. Quite nicely geared. So let's try the half wave, and I'm going to lean in. You can just hear it sort of making a noise, but it's inching its way along this really smooth Hornby Dublo 2-rail track. So all sorts of fun to be had when playing with this set, especially if you've got a controller with slightly more features. Right, I'm going to put it back onto normal, and let's see it go a little bit faster. Right, it's really getting its speed up now. That's not even full. There, I put it on full. Well, actually it is full. It's sticking to the rails really nicely, no uncoupling problems. Having a job to follow it at this speed actually, so I'm going to slow it down a little. I will be able to run this on the Super 4 layout at some point, because all these Hornby Dublo 2-rail models run really nicely on Super 4. I think they're just such great items. Just trying to select a slightly slower speed for you there. Having a little bit of trouble just setting it to the one I want. The only problem with this Marshall controller is it has segments, and sometimes the gap between the segments means it doesn't run perfectly on the setting below. But that's not too bad, is it? Well, I hope you've enjoyed seeing this set, this Hornby Dublo 2007. There's the picture on the box again, featuring the Caledonian and the Bobo, amongst others. The 060 tank passenger set, Southern Region. So I'm going to leave you with a few shots of it going round. And until the next video, I'm going to say goodbye.